Ocean Hill-Brownsville was one of the toughest issues for the UFT.
In 1967, an experimental community-controlled school district was created in the mostly minority neighborhood of Ocean Hill-Brownsville in New York City.
Officials took it upon himself to remove a number of teachers without showing any evidence that they'd done anything wrong.
The dismissal of 83 workers led to a racially charged strike.
I'm not satisfied in the sense that I wish this had been settled without this stoppage.
You almost have these two unstoppable forces coming together at the same time. Black Power activists see the education system as a community organization. Teachers see it as their rights have been trampled on for most of their professional careers.
The strike was successful, but divisive.
This strike highlights the need to work closer with the community.
As it happens, there was a wonderful opportunity for Al Shanker and the UFT to try to bring people back together.
The path to redemption between union and community would start in an unexpected place. A new class of educational workers desperately in need of a voice, called paraprofessionals, or teacher's aides.
They are graduating from the Women's Talent Corps, a college-level program to train women from New York's low-income areas for careers in community service.
Many different activists are calling for hiring of parents to work in public schools. And the Women's Talent Corps, with an assist from the United Federation of Teachers, are able to actually convince the New York City Board of Education to bring their trainees into public school classrooms.
I used to make magic markers. I was laid off, so I ended up going on welfare because I had nothing else to do. So I started volunteering. My kids started going to kindergarten. And the principal said to me one day, "I like the way you work with the children. How would you like to work for the Board of Ed?" I said, "I would love it."
While paras were glad for the opportunity, their work conditions often became exploitative.
A lot of the schools saw paras not as helping students, but more or less like a maid. Principals had them doing grocery shopping. There was no dignity.
And they were making $50 a week. They were all laid off in June, had to go and get unemployment, and then maybe they would be rehired in September if there were funds, and it needed some change.
And the question became, who would represent the paras?
And there's something of an irony in the wake of Ocean Hill-Brownsville that, if nothing else, the union has demonstrated its strength, its power to force the Board of Education to honor its contract.
We went to paras' homes, we talked to them about the union, and there were people who were saying, don't go with the UFT. But paraprofessionals, just like any other smart people, sort of understood where their future was.
I watched what they did for the teachers, and I'm thinking if they can do whatever they do for the teachers, they can do it for us. This is the organization that I want to be a member of.
In the end, it was a group of paras in Ocean Hill-Brownsville who provided the votes to put the UFT over the top.
They then started negotiating their first contract.
That negotiation went for months. They didn't take paraprofessionals seriously, but they didn't take the union and its demands seriously either.
They dare the UFT to go on strike. They essentially argue that the UFT's mostly white, middle-class teaching corps is not going to go on strike for paraprofessionals. You have the support of the leadership. Al Shanker writes a letter from jail. The United Federation of Teachers had to conduct what Sandra Feldman later called the largest internal education drive in its history. You have this kind of grassroots, classroom-based solidarity to convince teachers to vote in support of the paras.
Paraprofessionals also had to get support from community members, many of whom were skeptical of the UFT.
We had public speaking classes, and we went around the churches and talked to them. We got a lot of support from ministers. You could see some local board people softening.
We had the community on our side. We had then the teachers on our side. We were going to chain ourselves to the chairs if they didn't give us what we want. We were not going to give up when we got our first contract.
It was a raise, an annualization, a career ladder, and pensions. And when you saw all those hands go up, black and brown and white, they all went up saying, yes, we want this contract.
In negotiations, the union made sure that the innovative career ladder remained, despite efforts to remove it.
The board said, these are people who are on welfare. They don't have those aspirations. There were paras lined up for blocks to go into college.
A lot of them became teachers, guidance counselors, politicians, principals.
I remember going to a paraprofessional's house. One girl said, "I'm cleaning up because my mommy's going to be a teacher." And, my heart was singing.
The EFT, when they opened the doors for Paris, they made the biggest difference for our working conditions. The most important thing, they wanted to be treated with dignity and respect as a worker.
School staff also sought to join the AFT for similar reasons.
I was at many elections, and I just saw the tears. The secretary in Carlsbad, New Mexico, fell to her knees. She said, "Because of union and because of today, I'll never be anybody's Vesuda again. I'll never be anybody's trash again." They knew that they finally had a voice.
There's not a real depth of understanding about the essential role that we all play in the schools. The contracting out threats came up over and over and over again. It's always about paying people less, cutting back their benefits, and let the corporation make a lot of money. It's not about what's best for the kids. I knew we needed power, and no one is better than AFT about teaching you how to build power through advocacy, through organizing, and through getting your politics together. I really believe that there's a whole educational team that supports the child, and I think that same team is needed to support each other.
Securing paraprofessional standards in federal policy in 2001 was important in building that team.
The standards that we put in place made a difference because now people recognize this as a profession, recognizing paras in the school as part of the faculty.
Paraprofessionals came to Washington to ensure these standards stayed in the ESSA bill.
And we want to just ensure that those standards are met.
So we're lobbying to ensure that we're going to continue to have highly qualified paraprofessionals. Our students need it. Our students deserve it.
Became a Title I district.
And we need to really be trained and be able to meet that student where they are educationally, emotionally, and provide whatever support they need.
A teacher needs an assistant who's able. A teacher needs an assistant who's knowledgeable of what's going on.
To me, I want to put a face to a paraprofessional. I can do that better with 14,000 strong than me one by myself.